You know that we're keen on revealing the list of names on under the 90-year suppression order of the 28 VIP pedophiles, including a former Prime Minister, judges, lawyers, and you name it. Okay. Now, we're doing a petition, but it's not your ordinary petition, because one of our members is going to walk from Melbourne to Canberra, and we're going to collect 5 million signatures, and we're going to turn up and deliver it personally to Parliament House. So clicking a link isn't going to cut it. You signed the petition and join good old Craig Cole, our Victorian State Coordinator, who is going to personally walk from Melbourne to Canberra and deliver this petition. Now, the petition means nothing. We know that. But if it's got 5 million names, that's something. And if Craig has some company as he trundles up the road, and that's only a short walk, I'm sure you can manage it, but get away from your laptop, get on your feet and walk for Craig. And as he walks through the towns from Melbourne all the way to Canberra, we'll be publishing the route. And so what you can do is you can walk with him for a kilometre or so and take a film and say, we support you, Craig. Good on you, mate. Well done. Thank you. Because I understand you've got other obligations, but walk with Craig for a K. Just do it. This is what you have to start doing. Stand up. The digital war is done. Now it's physical.
Is it wrong that my only question is how is he going to carry the petition?
Wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow. Because I've seen those things. Those are huge. Like they need a proper lift to get them all through. That's
awesome. Our biggest problem,
Yeah.
to carry a petition with 5 million signatures, that's a great problem to have.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. But no, you're absolutely right. You need to get in their faces. And one of the things you can get in their faces about is Australia Day protests have been banned in Victoria and they've been replaced with Invasion Day dawn services. Are you ready for this, guys? Black Lives Matter. Do you remember all that? How that was approved? Well, you're going to have Invasion Day protests being allowed. So get ready for that and enjoy it. If you don't like it, then speak up. Speak up. Honestly, I'm sick.
Turn up.
Turn up. Turn up. Make your voices known.
Turn up.
Yeah.
There is no way that Comrade Dan has the lawful authority to ban an Australia Day protest. Think about what you're just being told. Oh, okay, we can't protest because Comrade Dan said we can't. Really? Well, here's another one for you that you might not be aware of. The masks. In New South Wales, good-for-nothing Gladys Berejiklian, the New South Wales Premier and Premier baby killer in the state, who authorised full-term abortion. And no, Gladys, I'm not going to let you get away with that. The directive came down that you must wear a mask in supermarkets.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, let's have a look at that. Now go to Advocate Me, where Serene has got all the data, so you can check this out. Please check it out for yourself, but here's the short version. There are exemptions to wearing the mask. Now, last week I explained how it's actually an unlawful direction. You cannot be forced to wear clothing or a mask or have your movement controlled unless you're under a control order. And to be under a control order, you must personally, not collectively, personally be proven to be sick in a court of law, and then there must be a pandemic as well, which we don't have. But even put that to one side.
Yeah.
There are exemptions to wearing a mask. Now, those exemptions include many things, and one of them might be you have a medical exemption. So if you have a medical condition, that gives you the right not to wear a mask. Now, what does a medical condition comprise? Well, the obvious ones are respiratory illnesses where you have difficulty breathing, no problem. One of the little-known ones is anxiety. Now, how is anxiety defined? Anxiety is defined as having trouble with a situation over which you have no control. You're worried about something over which you have no control. Now, to whom does that apply in Australia today?
Everyone?
I think it is everyone. Now, here's the really good part. If the coppers pull you up, and believe you me, the coppers are on our side. They really are. Certainly in New South Wales. Vic, you got a different problem. But in New South Wales, the coppers are on our side. Now, here's the deal. Because they're asking the same questions. The coppers are actually saying, hang on a minute, is this lawful? And they are not getting answers from their superiors. Good old Mick Fuller, the man who allegedly said that the people should be afraid of the police. And just by the way, his senior leadership are more divided than you can imagine. But that's a separate story. They're not giving the answers to the coppers. And if you suffer from a medical condition, let's say anxiety, like you're facing a situation over which you have no control and you're worried about it, you can say, well, I have an exemption. I have a medical exemption, and the police are not allowed to ask you what that cause of that medical exemption is, and they are not allowed to ask you for evidence of that simply because that's a breach of medical privacy. Does that make sense? So everyone following me here? So if you are worried about something over which you have no control, that is the formal definition of anxiety, and anxiety is a legitimate exemption from wearing a mask under the health rules, then guess what, folks? Feel free to go to Coles and Woolies in your local supermarket without a mask, because if you are challenged, all you have to do is say, I have a medical exemption. What's the medical exemption? I don't have to tell you. And that's it. It is as pure and simple as that.
This whole thing's a joke. And I mean, one of the examples of that was this week, the World Health Organization, they basically redefined what herd immunity is again. Now, we've talked about this in the past, but this is actually slightly different. They said on Monday that even with the widespread rollout of the vaccination program, herd immunity will not be achieved in 2021. Dr. Soumya, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the last name, the health body's chief scientist, you can go find them, spoke at a press conference and urged people to continue strict social distancing measures for the rest of the year, because it will take a while to build up that immunity. But you know what? These protests are fine, aren't they? Abolish
Not
Australia.
Oh, yeah. Not a problem at all. If the masks work, why do we need the social distance? If the social distancing works, why do we need the masks? If the vaccine works, why do we need either? Because if you've got the vaccine and it works, then you're immune. But the vaccine doesn't work, apparently. You need a second vaccine. And even then, it's not guaranteed.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make up your own mind. Does this make sense? Does it pass the sniff test? Does this smell right? The only thing these people have got going for them is the lie is so big that you cannot conceive that it is a lie. It is just so big. The whole world under control of a conspiracy? This is crazy talk. Except for one thing. That's exactly what Joseph Goebbels said. Hitler's Minister for Propaganda in World War II, Dr. Joseph Goebbels. Tell a lie, and if it's big enough, they'll believe it.
Yeah, just keep repeating it. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about United States President Donald J. Trump's Executive Order 13959. Now, this executive order prevents investment in Chinese communist military companies. So every company that's invested in anything to do with Chinese communist military operations or capability or development is now legal. Now, this is has a devastating effect on the American companies that are heavily invested in this, but it's effectively a declaration of war against China because they are ripping out the guts of the deal. And so this is the interesting part we're now at. This is the formal declaration of war that, as I said last week, China hadn't done us the courtesy of telling us that they're at war with us. Now, this is going to have impact in Australia as well, because we have any number of companies involved with the Chinese Communist Party. Trump has now made it illegal. It's going to affect everybody. The major Silicon Valley is going to suffer terribly. A lot of manufacturing is going to suffer. And so this is a declaration of war against the Chinese, and it's going to be fascinating to know exactly what happens. What's going to be next?
Do you think that he'll invoke that in the next 6 days?
It's already in.
It's already in, but
it's signed in. It's signed in. It's done.
So is that the military would sort of enforce that even after he's gone, or
no? It's an economic weapon. It's an economic weapon. These companies now have to withdraw from any involvement in the Chinese Communist Party, which is absolutely sensible and prudent.
Yeah,
it should have been done ages ago. It's certainly one of our policies. Anybody has anything to do with the CCP, that'll be an act of treason and sedition. How can you materially aid an adversary who has demonstrably attacked our nation? So we'll be doing the same thing. We wrote that up some time ago. The next bit that I think is really interesting is the Insurrection Act. Now, this is the act that allows the president to, amongst other things, suspend habeas corpus and basically continue governing until the threat of insurrection has been defeated. Now, all the steps have been put into place, and this is still open to Trump to do, including one of the steps, as I said last week, was to formally tell the insurgents to disperse. Now, this allows him to continue governing the United States. There is no requirement for an inauguration on the 20th because this is effectively a state of emergency. Now, this is not unusual. It's been rolled out 23 times in the US's history. So it's not an unusual thing. Most recently, 96, I think, George Bush Sr., the LA riots, he rolled it out. He considered doing it later as a result of one of the hurricanes. Trump threatened to do it in relation to some of the riots, but never did. So this rolling out the Insurrection Act is not anything unusual or new. Once again, the lamestream media will try to persuade you that it's something controversial and challenging. It's not. It's just part of the rules because they're smart. So it's going to be extremely interesting watching whether Trump rolls out the Insurrection Act, continues governing, utterly legal. Lincoln did it.
Yeah, and when Lincoln did it, just if you don't mind, he actually ended up, I think, jailing the Chief Justice at the time.
It was let's say, contributed to his night at the theatre. But it's been done before. It makes sense, particularly when you're under attack from an insurrection. And so they're two little things that I guess you won't hear on the news. But keep your eye out for both those things: Executive Order 13959 and the Insurrection Act, and the implications, the impact it's going to have on China and the United States.
Wasn't there another executive order or Protocol 52 or something where they were like, it was introduced after 9/11, where basically the president has the ability to, in the event of a significant emergency, basically dissolve the Congress, the whole of Congress and the Senate, and just control everything. I remember hearing that.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, I need to look up on that one. That's an interesting one. I doubt he's gonna pull any of this. I think that politics is a lot more boring than that, and the Trump era has been very entertaining, and it will continue. I just think that it'll continue in 4 years. They're going to go after Trump and all his supporters. We know that. They're already doing it. But you know what? It doesn't mean you stop what you're doing. What about in Australia, though? We've got a few different parties. Have you got anything to say about IMOP?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the heads up. That's right. Got a phone call from one of our regional coordinators. And apparently, now IMOP is the Informed Medical Options Party. And I'm a big fan of what they represent. We're very much in alignment with that. Your body, your choice. You get to say what goes into it. And I extended a